All right, great. So we're recording now. So today we're just going to be walking through our content training, and I just want to go ahead and review with you what that's going to entail. So I'm going to be walking you through how to build out this menu bar. I know that we're going to be changing our template, but it's still along the same guidelines of what we're going through today. Not anything's going to be too different. So changing this this menu bar up here, you're not going to have this text across your images because you'll have a slideshow image instead, so we don't even need to worry about this hero image content or text. And then we're also going to be reviewing how we update the this main paragraph of information, the left column, the right column, any of these widgets that we've got over here, and then how we can update the footer information, and then add, of course, the different additional articles and link those up to the menu as well. Okay. So we're really just going to be working under our website tab today, and the first thing I want to do is work in articles. So when we get ready to add some additional content to your site, or maybe you want to make an edit, all of those articles will be held right here. So if you want to make an edit to one of those one of the pages on your site, you're going to see it listed in this area. You'll be able to select it. It's going to take you into the editor, and then you'll be able to make those edits. I'm going to show you how, of course, to do that in a new article, which we're about to create, but I just wanted to go ahead and point out this is how you could make updates to articles that you've already have in the system. You've got all these icons up here in the top right-hand corner. The main ones that you'll be using is probably new, which is going to allow you to create new articles. Moving to trash, so that's just going to delete an article. It's not going to be gone forever, though. It's going to be kind of sitting in your trash can, and you have the ability to restore that if you need to. You can unpublish and publish your articles. So if you're working on something and you don't necessarily want it available to the public, you can keep it unpublished until it looks the way you want it to. You can also just double-click this green published, and that'll unpublish and publish it as well. So let's go ahead and start building out this new article. So I'm just going to select new, this plus sign icon, and that's going to bring me into my article builder. We would want to begin by creating the title to our article. So I'm just going to call this maybe members only. So maybe this is some members only content. Once I've added that title, you'll notice the alias has automatically populated. An alias is just going to be the end of your URL that you'll be using. So it would be like, to get to this page, you go to oca.memberclicks.net/members-only. That's how you'd be taken to this page of content. And then we're ready to build out the content in our WYSIWYG editor, which stands for what you see is what you get, which is completely true. The way things look on this end here is exactly how it's going to look on the front end of your site, which makes it really easy to make changes. So a lot of these pieces that you're seeing in our editor are almost the exact same in what you would see in like a Word document. Or if you guys have had any practice working in editors previously, a lot of this stuff is going to be really similar. We can bold, we can italicize, underline, strike throughs, our alignments. Of course, we can change our fonts, our font sizes, the color of our font. We can highlight our font. I really want to point out the things that are a little bit more custom to MemberClicks, so things that maybe you wouldn't see in the past. The first thing that I want to show you is this formatted font drop-down. I would always recommend using these formatted fonts versus getting too custom and using the font families and font sizes, colors, and all this kind of stuff. And the reason I suggest that is because if you ever want to update or change the colors of your website, if you just let me know or let the help team know if you've graduated at that point what you want those new colors to be, they're going to let our designer know, and he's going to apply those colors to the site. And anywhere that you've used these formatted fonts, it's going to automatically update for you. However, if you've used the font families, font sizes, and you've gotten custom with the colors, then you're actually going to have to go into the system and manually update all of those yourself. So I would really stick to using these formatted fonts. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, that's really cool.
Okay. All right. So the next thing that I kind of want to dive into is how we're going to add images into our content or into our editor. So typically you would copy and paste an image. We don't want to do that in MemberClicks. Instead, anytime we want to save or add an image into our editor, we really want to save that in our Media Manager first. I'm going to show you where that Media Manager is housed in a little bit and how we're going to use it, how we can organize it. But it's kind of just like a file store within MemberClicks. And so in order to kind of pull an image from those files that you've gotten stored in MemberClicks, you're going to come to the bottom of your editor, and of course we always want to place our cursor where we want the image to populate in at. We're going to come to the bottom of our editor and select Image. And this is going to bring up a mini media manager where we can access all those files that we've stored within MemberClicks. There we go. And so you'll notice we've got our media, and we've got a documents folder, images folder, and then I've got a site folder. I'm going to go ahead and dive into that site folder because I know your logo's in here. That's where my designer places it for me. And then at that point I would insert the image. And that's just going to insert that image wherever, once again, I place that cursor. Now let's say, I don't love that the text and the image are right backed up to one another. I don't love how the text is aligned with the image. Maybe I don't love the size of the image. To change that, I'm going to want to highlight my image, come to the top of my editor, and use this little tiny tree icon. By selecting that tree icon and going over to the Appearance tab, I have some additional customizations I can make. What I love is you've got this little example over here so you can see exactly what you're doing before you do it. So with the alignment, that's going to let me align my text differently to my image. My favorite is using left. So it's going to have my text wrap left to my image. My dimensions is just going to allow me to put in some dimensions that will change the size of the image. You'll notice we have this constrain proportions box. I would typically always leave this checked. If you uncheck it, you're going to have to put in the second dimension. And since I don't know the proportions of my image, it would end up being kind of wonky. So I always want to make sure I'm constraining the proportions because the system knows what the second dimension should be, and it'll autofill it for me. The vertical and horizontal space is going to add a space cushion between my image and my text. And then my border is going to allow me to put a border around my image. And I'm kind of using some settings that I typically use in here. At this point, we can update. And now you'll notice that I've got some space between my text and my image. I've got a border around my image, and my image is a little bit smaller than it was before. Also, my text aligns left or wraps left with my image. Okay. Any questions on how I added this image in and how I changed the appearance of the image? Nope. Okay. A couple other things that are a little bit unique to MemberClicks is how we add internal and external links. So I'm going to show you. Of course, we'll want to grab our text. So we'll want to, any text that we want to link up, we would highlight that text. If this is an external link, we're going to come to the top of our editor and choose this little link up here. And it's just going to say link URL. So I can grab the URL that I want to link to. I'm just going to link back to your home page and apply that in. I can tell the system whether I want it to open up in the same window or if I want it to open up in a new window. In this case, I'm just going to have it open up in the same window, and then I'm going to insert. And now I have that external link created. To add an internal link, it's a little bit different. I'm still going to grab and highlight my text, but I'm going to come to the bottom of my editor and choose this Site Links button. Once again, it's going to bring up kind of that mini media manager. So from here, I can link to with anything that's in MemberClicks. So any articles that have been created, any community features, any menu items. Yeah. Any menu items, any forms that we've created, any directory searches, files. So if I wanted to link to a document, then I can do that here. I'm going to go ahead and link to our event calendar and just insert this in. One thing that I absolutely love, and it's always so fun, is anytime we've linked up some text, we can use our formatted fonts. I'm going to choose heading 6, and that's going to create a button for us.
That's really cool, too. Okay, can you show me where you click to do the external link?
The external link is this little link right here.
Okay, the chain. Okay, and the other one's at the bottom. Gotcha.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. Couple other favorite buttons that I love. This back button is one of my favorite. Or undo. I'm always needing to use that. We do have an HTML editor if you guys are familiar with HTML.
Nada.
It's tough for I've learned a couple tricks, but I kind of stay away from that too. We have this separator that we can apply, so that would kind of separate different sections in an article for you. Everything else is kind of for a table. Those are just going to be the main pieces that you'll be using. Before we save our image, we want to set our group access, which just means who's allowed to see this. This is where that permissions come into play, you know, the groups versus member types. So if this was only for members, which I'm doing just like an example of a members only, in that case I would untag prospect and public and only keep your members tagged. If it's for everybody to see, then you would just tag everybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then if we apply, it's going to save these changes but keep us on this page. If I select save, it's going to save the changes and take me back to that article manager. Okay. So we've completed creating our article, but it still only exists in the system. It's not on the front end for your members to be able to access it yet. So instead, I'm going to use my website tool. I'm going to drop down to menu items, and now we're going to create the menu item that we want to link that article to so your members can access it. We do have 3 different menu items. I want to go ahead and point out where those are located. We've got a main menu, a member menu, and a social network menu. This is the main menu. Let me show you on your Buckhead. This will be the main menu up here. Down at the bottom, this is the social media or social network menu. And then you're also going to have I've got too many things up in here. A member menu, so that's what your members are going to see when they've logged in. Let me get that set up. It's the member landing page. So once your member logs in, they're going to be greeted with, I wonder if it hasn't been. Let me check on something. I apologize. That's on. I'd like to be able to show you. Let me double check and make sure these are good. I'm just checking permissions right now to make sure that you guys have permission to see that member landing page, which you should. It doesn't really matter. Let me try one more time. Oh, I'm sorry. I know why. Bear with me for 2 seconds, y'all. I apologize. I know what I did. Here we go. So this is what your members will be greeted with once they've logged in. And so it's just going to pop up a name tag. It's going to data merge their information in. We're going to put in a little blurb, or you guys will put in a little blurb about what they can do in this section. And then they can view their profile. That's where they're going to update their information, be able to review their invoices, form submissions, and there's some social community pieces that we're going to review on our 4th training as well. Anyway, so this is that member menu. That's why I wanted to show you this page, so you can edit this member menu. So I'm just going to go back to my website menu items, because right now we're wanting to add that article we just created to a menu item. So we've got our 3 different menu options. Once you get to this page, I always ask myself, what menu do I want to make changes to? I'm just going to make this to the main menu. So I'm going to select main menu. Right now we only have a home menu or main menu item. So once again, we've got those same icons in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to just select new because I want to create a new menu item. Now it's going to ask me what type of menu item I'm creating. So we can link directly to any of the forms that we'll create. We can link directly to an external link. We can link directly to our community forums if you guys are going to be using those, our community features like the event calendar. Then you'll notice we have this article content. So we just created an article. That is what we want to link to, but there's a couple different options here. It's easiest for me to go through and ask myself, okay, does this make sense, right? So we didn't just create a front page blog, single article. That sounds more like what we just created, right? We just created a single article. It's not a category blog layout, category list, or an archived article list. We didn't use any of those. So single article is what we're going to select for this. This, community features, and potentially external links are going to be the items that you use most. If we used you guys if we use the MemberClicks website as a membership module, meaning it's going to link back to your existing site, I would be using this external link a good bit, but since it looks like we're going to be transferring your site at some point in time, I want to go ahead and just show you how to link up to a single article. We would create the title. This time the title is going to be what shows up on the menu item, so I'm just going to call it members only again. I like to call my articles and menu items the same thing for consistency. It's going to create that alias again, which is the URL. And then I would choose where I want the menu item to show up. If I want it to be at the top, meaning it's a second main menu item next to home, I'm just going to keep top highlighted. However, if I wanted to make a sub-menu item, I would just be able to select that home option, and that's going to create a sub-menu item for the home menu item. Okay. We can have this pop up in a new browser if we want to. I like to go ahead and have it pop up in the same. The only time I really use that feature is if it's a form. So that way your member can be completing the form and also continuing to navigate your website. We need to tell this menu item where it's going to take your members once it's been clicked or selected. So we need to choose the article that we want this menu item to lead to. So I'm going to select my members only. The most recent article that's been created will always show up at the top of this list. And then lastly, I just need to decide on that group access again. So once again, who can see this? And then I'm going to save. At this point, I can go back to our home page. I can refresh. And now we've got that members only menu item. If I select it, it's going to take me to that page that we created together. Okay, any questions on how I created the article and linked it up to the menu item?
Not right now.
Okay, awesome. It seems it's pretty intuitive. You just kind of have to follow those instructions or follow the things that it asks you.
Yeah.
All right, so I talked a little bit about the Media Manager, and that's just like a file store within MemberClicks. So that's under the Website tab and Media Manager.
Will we ever fill that up? Will we ever fill that up?
We've never had a association reach a limit. So from what I understand, we don't know that one exists. Yeah. So, however, files that you upload in here cannot be more than 25 megabytes per file.
Yeah. That's pretty big file.
Yeah, we've never experienced an issue with that either. So you guys should be fine on storage. So if you want to save a document, I would just save it in your documents folder. If you want to save an image, I would save it in the images folder. And then, of course, for site, leave this kind of alone for the most part. If you guys ever want to, well, I'm not going to go over the hero image because that's going to change when we move to the slideshow, and I'll have to update you on that anyway, so I'm going to talk about it. But this site folder is really more for our designers. If you guys needed to change something, it's easiest for our designers to just keep their stuff in here. That way we're preventing any confusion on what's been done and who did it and that kind of thing. You can create additional folders. So if you wanted, if you had like a conference 2017, and you had a ton of photos, you could create an additional folder. And then you could dive into that folder just for additional organization. Okay. All right. Any questions on the Media Manager?
No, ma'am. There's a lot of things that aren't well, I guess just the design part is a lot like what we're using right now. So that's nice. It won't completely all be new.
Exactly. That's perfect. That's really good. We're based on Joomla, and so I know a lot of systems use a similar kind of base program that they're working off of. So a lot of times I hear that feedback, which is always positive.
Yeah.
So next we have widgets. So we use widgets throughout our system. One of the main reasons is our home page is comprised of widgets instead of an article. So that's what allows the site to be responsive. So if you're on a cell phone, or something like that, we still have full functionality of all of those different pieces of the site. It just allows them to stack, which is pretty cool. So we've got widgets. I'm just going to work on our website.
Just a quick question, and not, kind of a little bit off topic, but in the initial deal that you guys visited with Michael about, you had a newsletter feature. Does the widgets work for that too? Make it mobile compatible, I guess you could say?
No, that's going to be, the newsletter is what will come through in email.
Okay.
So really that's just going to depend on the email host. So I can't say no, because if I got one in my Gmail, then I would probably be able to read it. I don't know if the images
Right.
would show up. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Does
I
that make sense?
understand. I just was curious. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think we'll be able to get to that today. Getting through that content, that media manager, and I'll show you how we'll create the newsletter and that kind of stuff for you. So it'll be in there. Awesome, good question. Okay, so going back to this website, widgets, I just want to walk through what each of these are. Homepage main, homepage left, and homepage right. If I go back to that homepage, this is the homepage main. So if you want to update this text, you would use that homepage main widget. This is the homepage left, and this is the homepage right. We created these buttons in here just as I showed you, linking up some text and adding heading 6. Okay. We have the member landing page my name is, so that's the name tag that appears on that member landing page. If you want to change this info that data merge is in, you can highlight it, use the data merge tool at the bottom of the editor, and you can select any of these attribute fields that we have in here. We also have hero content. You guys are not going to have this. You're going to have a slideshow image widget. And so that's going to be where you'll add those images in that you want to be a part of the slideshow that are going across your screen. Once again, I'll make sure I show you how to do that when we get there, but it's really easy to update. Footer info. So that's just going to be this info down here at the bottom. News. So that's your news widget. That would be this widget here. And then lastly, custom login page content lower half and top half. So what that is when your members get ready to log in. And this might kick me out, but that's okay. When your members get ready to log in, they're going to be brought to this page. So you can add text above this login or below this login area. Typically, I've seen that that's just kind of left alone. Okay. And that's all for the widgets. Any questions on those?
On the news thing, I guess when I selected that, I was thinking that that could be kind of our press room. Is that typically what people use that for, or is it like industry news, like linking news articles within the industry?
That is totally up to you guys. I've seen it used for,
Okay.
I mean, a million different things. If you have like an RSS feed that you have, we can link that in here.
Okay. So it's just kind of up to us. Okay.
Yeah, it's totally whatever you guys want to use it for. You can just add a blurb of news in there and then link it to a full article that you've created about that news topic. I've seen people do that in the past as well. So, or have a couple of different articles that are linked up to in there. So yeah, really whatever.
Could we also do like a archive if we did the newsletter? Do you guys have an archive feature, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. We can archive articles for sure. So we have this archive option. So if you wanted to archive this like members only, we would just tag it and then archive it.
Okay.
I have honestly not worked in much detail with that. If you dive in there and you're working with it and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, let me know and I'll get you some more information.
Okay.
Typically, I kind of just tell people that we've got that button and then they kind of run with it. And I don't know if there's anything else I can review.
These are just random questions that are popping up in my head. So.
Perfect. No, that's great. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we've pretty much covered everything that we need to cover in here. So then I've got 2 more things I want to walk through. I feel like we covered that quickly. The contact center, that's how you're going to send out emails. And so, and of course it kicked me out. Let me get back in here. So that contact center, of course, we can get to it from the profile list as well, or you can get to it under the Community tab and Contact Center. You can select your profiles that you want to send the message to. If you want to send it to everybody, we'll just tag all recipients on all pages. And then, like I said before, you can go to your profile list, use that advanced search feature, grab the people that you want to contact, and then use that Actions button in the right-hand corner, select Contact, and then that'll bring us over here as well. Once your template's updated and completed, I'm going to save some newsletter, a welcome letter, and a basic email letter template in this section. When you come in here, it is always going to look like there are no templates saved. It's because you have to select the Show button in order to see it. Okay. So you'll be able to grab those templates. You'll load them in. You can create your own templates just by creating the message. You can, if you've got some HTML from a previous template that you like to use, you can throw that in here. This will work just as the editor that we were looking at. This is that WYSIWYG editor again. Adding a subject, and then you can, of course, send this message now, or you can send it at a later date. If you send the email now, it's going to sit in a queue for 5 minutes, which will allow you to cancel it if you want to. And then once that 5 minutes is up, it's going to begin sending those messages out one at a time. So it takes a little bit of some time for all of our emails to go out to all your members, but we do that so that it prevents those emails from winding up in a spam folder. You'll also notice that we have this attach file option. Best practice would be to actually never use this. We have it available, but anything that you can attach as a file, you can also save in your media manager and link as an internal link. So once again, attaching files to emails is going to increase the amount that, or the chances of them winding up in a spam folder, but creating an internal link to the file will not. So that's why we always suggest using that instead of actually using this attach file button. Okay. Once you've sent a message. Yes, sir.
Quick question here. So we've kind of been converting our trade show exhibitors over to email, and we do that all just kind of internally here. Would we have the potential to add like a trade show member type that we could then email them through this system and have internal links or whatever to a form that they fill out and collect payment and do all that type of stuff with it?
Absolutely. I would definitely recommend doing that. If you don't want them to take up your custom profiles, you can even give them their own attribute, add them as prospects, and just have an attribute that marks them as being trade show or something like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using this for that purpose.
Okay, that's great.
Awesome. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to point out, so right before you guys get ready to launch, you're going to send out a welcome email to your members, just inviting them to the site. It's going to data merge their username in. It's also going to prompt them to create a password. I always suggest sending it to yourself first, just to make sure you like the format of the email. And so you can do that by just selecting your own name. And then you can also just add additional email recipients. So let's say you've got, you want your wife or your friends or whoever to take a look at it to make sure it looks good on their email. You can add additional recipients. So that means they're not in your database. You're just kind of tacking them on in there. Okay. Once the email goes out, you'll be able to go into the reporting tab into messages, and you can actually look at the statistics on the message that went out. So this is the only one, of course, that went out from the system. That was to you guys. It tells me that it was complete, the date and time that it was sent, how many people it was sent to, and then I can open this up and I can look. So I saw that it actually bounced. So that means that I need to probably fix that email so we can look at how many people or the actual person that it bounced to. Okay, one other thing I want to get through, and that's our calendar. I know you have that calendar piece in here, so I just wanted to go ahead and show you how you'll add items to your calendar. We're going to work a little bit backwards here. And before I keep rocking forward, I want to show you what the calendar looks like. So here's our calendar. To add events, like I said, we're going to work backwards. So first I want to manage my locations. This is just going to prompt you to add a location. It has nothing to do with any specific event. You can access these locations for any events in the future that you create. So in order to add a location, you would just select that new icon, just like what we did for the article manager and menu manager. You're going to add in the information about the location. So once again, just on the location. You'll find the address. That's what's going to update the Google Maps so they can actually select this map on the calendar, and it will take them to directions to that location. But if you don't hit this find address, it's going to keep them right here in Atlanta. So put in the address and then find address. You can add a description for the event. Once again, this is just that WYSIWYG editor. And then you would save. So that's going to create the location for you. At that point in time, you'll be ready to create a category. This is going to color code your calendar. So you would just select new. And maybe one might be conferences, because maybe you want to color code all your conferences the same color on your calendar. You would choose a color. If you have a hex number or a hex value color that you want to use, you can just check that you want to use your own color, put in the hex number, and then you can set that color. Of course, you can also just select a color as well. And then once your category is created, you're going to actually be able to add the event. So I just worked right to left there. Now we're going to add the event new. Now we're going to put in the information all about the event. So we'll put in the event title. We're going to choose the category. So when we've created the category that we want to color code this to, we'll choose it right here in this area. You're going to put in the start time, the end time. You can put no specific end time if you want. If you guys have something that repeats, we have some really cool customizations in here as far as you can do it like how many times you want this to repeat, whether you want it to be monthly, yearly, weekly, daily. And then you can even say, you know, the first Monday, just the first Monday of every month or something like that. You would add in your event description. This is also a great place to link in an event registration form. You would select your location. So when you open this up, it's going to have all the locations you've created and saved in here. And then at that point in time, you would determine your permissions, who's allowed to see this calendar event, and then you would save. At that point in time, it's going to show up on the front end on your calendar. And it also is going to have, I'll just show you, it's also going to list those items right down the side of your website for you. And so once you've got this completed, so they have a lot of events on their calendar, so this is a great example. They've got the color coding. So here's those events. It tells me what those colors mean. I can click on one of these events. And then it's going to have all the information. So they've got their map. They've got all the info on the event. They've added in a logo, all this info. They've added a register here button, which is going to take them to the registration form. And then they've added a little bit more information down at the bottom. Okay. Any questions on how we can create those calendar pieces?
I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's really, really neat.
Okay,
so,
awesome.
Okay, one real quick question. I guess, like, so currently we have like a page, like say we have an event called district meetings, and so when those are over, you know, I have to go back in and say these are over for the year, look back in whenever for dates in 2018. So if we just made an event on the calendar, it's just going to expire and disappear when it's over with, right?
I think that it's still going to, I think technically it's still going to stay.
But there's no reason for us to update it because it's obvious that it's over, you know? Is that right? Am I thinking?
I think you're right, Chancey. I mean, it'll stay on that calendar, but it'll disappear off the upcoming events.
Wonderful. There's no need to go in and, okay, gotcha.
No, and on the registration forms, we can put a date. So even if somebody went back and looked at, I mean, it's cool to have those previous items on your calendar. So that way, if you've got somebody who's looking to be a new member, they're like, wow, look at all this stuff that they do. Like, there's really a lot for me to benefit from. But if they were, you know, confused and tried to register for something on the form itself, we can put an expiration date. So it'll just say you don't have access to view this form at this time or something like that.
Very good. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, cool. Good questions. Okay, do we already have we need to go ahead and schedule our next training for next week, is that right?
I think we scheduled it, Adrian. Let me look here.
I didn't see anything that might be.
I thought we had it down for like the 22nd.
Oh, and Jeff, I think that was my fault because I think that I was.
Was that somebody else?
I have two Jeffs right now. I'm so sorry. It was. I'm so sorry. That's another Jeff, and I totally was so confused when I had emailed you the other day. I can do it on the 22nd. That's
really about the only day that works very well for me. So if we can do it that and as late as possible on that day. I know we've got a little bit of a time difference, but I don't want to make you stay late.
How about 5 my time, which would be 4 your time? Would that be okay?
That would be excellent.
Let's do that. So this is going to be over forms. So if I don't have all of your forms that you want me to create at this time, please make sure you send them to me before that training, so that I can make sure we are able to review those together. Okay.
And if that one's over forms, that's another good one for Chancey to be involved with. Does that day and time work for you, Chancey, or is that a problem?
Being that late, I probably won't be able to join you live, but I can listen to it later. It's no problem.
Okay, okay.